lead because there's no way in hell.
Alright, well, I'm going to start this off. We've only got like 30 minutes tops before I'm going to run out of space on my phone, and I don't know. I'm not going to have my phone, so I'm not going to know if we run out of space or not. So we'll just have to do what we can with the time that we have as quick as we can. So, our guest is already interrupting me rudely. It's Jeremy Allen Wilcox, and he is, I'm not sure what to call him. What he is tripping on acid, and he's going to be our first interview of a psychonaut in the field, getting what he can for us out of it, I suppose, and speaking on, whatever it is that he would like to speak on. What would you? We talked about, just to catch people up, Jeremy and I have talked about many things regarding society in general and the initiative and everything that we've been trying to do with spirituality and religion primarily. He says that it's a sore subject for him, although it's too deep a subject that he's most inclined to speak on. But we'll let him introduce himself and we'll see what comes of it. Jeremy, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, well, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I'm just going to go with, I consider myself to be just an average, everyday kind of person. Like, I'm more of a background program. No one notices me because they're not supposed to. I'm doing what it is that I'm supposed to do while I'm here, most of the time without even being consciously aware of it. All of my experiences are genuine only because I don't bother to take the opinions of too many so-called learned people because they told me through their own words what they don't say is more important than what they do say. It's the fields or the subjects that they won't touch on as opposed to the ones that do. It's classic misdirection. This reality is meant to be lived and experienced, not read about in a book. And yeah, right now I'm tripping, so wherever this goes is wherever this goes. I'm warning you,
Stop fingering me, bro.
That's why I told you you're going to have to leave, because I can go anywhere.
The lead on right there. So this is something that we try to touch on with the initiative in general a lot, is people running as programs in the background. Like, that's how we've been for a long while. That's how most people have been for a long, long while. Especially people in our field, and especially people learning in our field who are actual practitioners who want to make a difference in the world. We kind of run in the background, and people do tend to just discredit us, dismiss us for the most part. And so a lot of us people feel that way. They get inclined to kind of sit in the background. Yeah, they're scared to step up into the fucking light, but that's what we need to be doing, and that's what because you.
Well, before you come into the light, you have to spend a pretty decent amount of time in the dark.
Right.
And that's the place that most people don't want to go, because they have this misconception, thanks to the religiously minded, that have purposely misled people. They've been led down a primrose path by the Pied Piper. All of those nursery rhymes, they all resonate. They all have their purpose.
Yeah, they do.
We're being warned from childhood. Do not listen to, do not believe anything that you see or hear or touch or taste unless you've experienced it yourself enough times to know from firsthand personal experience.
Yeah, or at least have some personal experience on it. People running around, especially in religious culture, are going to be running around telling you everything about life when they don't know jack dick about it.
Right. They're so elated. And I was one of them. I'm the first one to put myself out there. Okay? I was once one of those allegedly deceived. Even though at a certain level of my consciousness I knew better. Excuse me. To throw myself into anything 100%. Because there's always needs to be at least 2% of you held back that can critically assess the situation you're in at the moment and will break you out of it the second you need to be out of it. I spent 9 years in the Christian religion with my mother and her husband as the leaders of this organization. Now, their names are in no way associated with me, and I don't want them.
We lost your audio for a moment there. Repeat what you said.
Okay, where did you lose me?
You said I spent 9 years.
Oh, I spent 9 years in the Christian religion, Protestant most specifically, and I went through the whole initiation process, even though there doesn't seem to be one. If you're awake and aware enough, you'll see patterns anywhere and everywhere because they're everywhere. You just have to be consciously aware of them, and when you see one, you'll say it's a coincidence, and then sooner or later you realize that no, that's not coincidence. It's called coincidence.
Right.
So the 9 years that I spent in that religion was my way of saying, okay, you want me to learn about all of this? Okay, well, I'll go from being the most rebellious to being the most trusted, most trustworthy, the most faithful, the most adamant listener. I became the student. I learned everything I had to learn about it in 9 years, and on the 10th year, I looked at the people who were in charge of the whole thing and said, this does not work. It certainly does not work the way that you try and peddle it to other people. And I'm not going to have anything to do with this, because now I know for myself that this is another Ponzi scheme. You're doing this for the money. You don't give two shits about the people who say you're trying to help. They obviously didn't like that very much. And the fact that they were my parents didn't help much either.
Okay.
So, needless to say, I have the both of them on the edge of the knife right now because they don't know what way I'm going to go this. And that's kind of the whole point of what I was getting to is, allowing yourself to be nothing means that you have the potential to be anything and everything when you need to be at that moment. The Marines have it right. Improvise, adapt, overcome. You have no idea how apt that one phrase, that motto is to everyday life.
Right.
Because you're constantly doing it. You're constantly improvising, you're adapting, you're overcoming.
Problem with me particularly is you're going to say hold back that 2%. I tend to jump head first into everything. So
yeah, how do you like those concussions so far?
It's been rough, but
when are you going to stop abusing yourself? Let me ask you that question.
I feel pretty good where I've landed here. I've jumped head first into this with my totality, and I'm not backing out. And I mean,
no. And I have a lot of respect for you because of that fact. I have to admit, there was a period where I was testing you to make sure you were genuine and not. There are a lot of scammers out here in the world, Donovan. It's nothing personal, but I run into them all the time.
Yeah, I run into them all. That's what I do is I try to find the frauds. Thankfully, recently I found aside from I found you, I found a couple other people that are into it, but I found this one dude who I thought he was a scammer, and he turned out to be a spotter that's actually developed his own schematic for everything, his own training program, and he does charge for sessions, for personal sessions.
I have a problem with that.
He gives the people one free session to see if they're into it, and then he does charge. And everybody needs to make a living.
Okay, I get you now that I understand.
If you're not a fraud, it's okay. It's perfectly okay to charge money for your services, but we do have to find the frauds and point them out. We can't no longer tolerate scammers running around being fraudulent in this field because it's giving us, people who are trying to do shit, especially people like me who are trying to do shit free of charge. People think I'm a villain because I'm not charging them.
Yeah, you can't win for losing, my friend. You really can't. So you just, you've already figured it out. I ain't got to tell you shit. You already got it far enough. You've been at this from a commercial angle a whole lot longer. Okay, like I said, I've been a watcher. Okay, but people don't really understand. I don't even fully understand my purpose here yet, and that kind of worries me a little because some of the things that I know giving this kind of information to just anybody. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So if I hold this information, that means that there's a very specific reason for it. That's not necessarily a good thing. And that's the kind of warning I've been trying to give to you since we pretty much first met, was that there are real, very real consequences that this whole world is facing. I don't think they understand or appreciate the weight or the depth of the situation.
No.
You cannot trust legacy media. You cannot trust anything that's on the outside. It's artificial. It's part of the system protecting itself. But it doesn't realize that by doing that, it's also eating itself, because no one else is feeding into it anymore.
Yeah, and that is precisely what I think too. Is that this is all almost like a virus in the system fighting to survive. You know.
Right. Now there's a storm right off of our coast. I'm in Florida right now.
Damn.
Where there's lightning and thunders and all that shit. We're used to it. We don't even start to blink until it turns into a cat. Then we get a little nervous. Okay, Floridians, yeah, we're a different bunch. We're a different bunch, especially those of us here in Tampa. Give a shout out because that's my hometown. That's where I grew up. That's where I learned all of these things, all the important things that I ever needed to learn. I learned in Tampa. Okay.
They say that this one that's coming might be Category 5.
It's not going to come anywhere near us. And I personally am going to make sure of that. And I know that's a tall claim that a lot of anybody who bothers to listen to this, nothing against you, but I know so few people are even interested in hearing it. I'm making sure that storm doesn't come and wipe out my home. Because that's what this is. This is my home. Take the word Earth. Yeah, I can do that. Because
people out there, you know,
I'm not the only one.
Right. I talk to a lot of magic practitioners and such people who practice spell crafting and such, and they don't believe.
Oh, this goes beyond that. This goes way beyond. You're talking about level 3. We're talking level 5 and above. This is uncharted territory for a lot of people because I don't even know exactly how I'm doing it. I just know that I'm one of the ones that's keeping that storm from destroying my home.
Well, yeah, my brother who was just waving at us on the other screen there, he and I, when we first got into shit like that, casting, magics, all of that, anything regarding that sort of thing, we really jumped into that, and we were able to do shit like that. We were able to summon up storms, we were able to deflect storms, we were able to cause fucking plants to blossom in a day. Like, you can do some pretty crazy shit.
And you know how you do that? Would you like a little insight as to how that's done?
That? No.
I can tell you right now. It's real easy. In order to control something, first you have to become that thing. You have to understand what it is from its point of view. And yes, as crazy as that sounds, it is more than possible. I have to become that storm. And I understand that storm because, well, as Dave Mustaine once put it, if the war inside of my head ever took a day off, I'd be dead. Because the war is not in me. It's not just, it's out here. It's among us. It's whatever this place is.
Yeah,
The second you try to pin it down, it's going to change on you because that is its nature. It's not to be pinned down. The more you try to understand it, the more it's going to change. The more you become like it. Take Bruce Lee in his famous speech about water. You understand it, you comprehend it, you know it, and then you have control of it.
That makes
because
perfect sense.
You have control of yourself.
And by the way, Dave Mustaine is hosting some kind of I didn't look into it, but it's some kind of a charity for, I think he might have some kind of a charity for like an illness or something. I don't remember, but anybody who's interested in Dave Mustaine or Megadeth, check out his fucking page. He's having some kind of hosting some kind of a charity. I
owe that dude a lot. I owe him. I owe James Hetfield. I owe Lars Ulrich. I owe Kirk Hammett. Dave Mustaine, Cliff Burton forever will be. I've never met him. I was 10 years old when he left. this plane of existence.
Yeah.
But we have his music. And as long as we have that, we can know who Cliff is. Not past tense. People need to stop that shit. They're the dead. All of that crap needs to go away. They're not dead. They're more alive than we are.
Yeah, a person exists, and time that exists. I mean, I can't really. I've been trying to speak on this for a while, but the past exists. These people there, and there is no such thing as death, really. In an ultimate reality, these are things that I try to get across, but it's really difficult to try and explain what I mean in a way that people are going to get it.
You have to exemplify it. You can't. That's what I was trying to explain to you earlier. It has to be experienced. That's why I'm doing this now with you. Okay? Focusing and concentrating on this conversation, you have no idea the amount of energy it's taking just to remain as focused as I am. So if I cut you off, I'm not trying to. If I seem rude, I'm not trying to be. It's that one thing about this drug, you cannot lie. But at the same time, I warn you about the questions that you ask, having said that already.
That's something that we spoke about earlier on the live stream we did earlier while I was wandering around. We did a live stream for the Truth family. Anybody who's not up to date with that, check out True Life Story. We talked about how they used to use LSD as a truth serum after they found out that chlorpromazine, was it, or?
Yeah, I don't know all the technical names for all this shit. All I know is what they discovered.
I can't remember what the drug was called, but
right. But there's two sides to this coin. That's what they didn't realize, and that's what humans fail to recognize more times than they actually do recognize. There are parts of this that you cannot control. What happens, and you're either it's kind of like surfing. You're either in the wave, you're in the zone, you're in the tube, or you're getting your ass kicked by the waves. There's really no two ways. You're either waiting for the wave, you're in the wave, or you're getting your ass thrashed. One of the three. So I would suggest stay in the wave. Do whatever you got to do because the consequences suck.
I should like to think that, there's a part of you, a part of this collective consciousness that has control over all of it, in the sense of being that it is its dream, but then at the same time it is its dream. So, I mean, even God could be black.
As above, so below. As within, so without. These are basic principles. What's happening around you is a reflection of what's happening inside of you.
Right.
And the more absurd things get, they get that way to get your attention to the fact of how absurd things are getting, because you're allowing them to, because you're not focusing on that which is most important. You're allowing yourself to become distracted. Liking to think something does not, unfortunately, get the job done. I like to think that I never have to practice in order to pick up my guitar and sound as close to James Hetfield as I possibly can, because I look up to him as a musician. Always have. That's part of what I owe those men. I don't see people. I don't just see people that are pages on a screen. These are real people with real lives, and I know because I follow their lives. I'm interested to know what made them who they are. That helps me to understand who I am and who you are and how all of this works. And once you do, fear. What fear? There's no room for it in your life, because every day you wake up with that same awe that you had when you were 6 or 5, before your life started turning to shit. At least for me, I can say roughly 3-4 years of age was the last time I could enjoy anything that you would call peace. Because this world is a fucking mess. It's a lot of work. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No, because the interview's for you, but that does speak to the nature of my situation. I find myself disconnected in a sense that I I do achieve peace from time to time, but if I'm allowing, if I'm allowing myself to accept the full weight of the responsibilities at my hands, then no, there is no peace to moment battle.
Don't do that to yourself, Donovan. Stop overwhelming yourself. Take things a piece at a time. Eckhart Tolle, name ring any bells?
Yeah.
Power of now.
Right.
So be here now. Because I am. Because I got no choice. Time for me does not exist anymore. It went bye-bye, along with all the rest of the human preconceptions and emotions. So that's why I'm saying we need to be careful where we go, because I don't restrict myself when I'm like this at all. Inhibitions do not exist. So
we're going to be doing further interviews with you later on, I'm sure, so we can kind of keep this one at a surface level. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you usually experience with LSD? You take it relatively frequently, right?
No, this is the second time in it's got to be the better part of 17 years since I've done this. It was just no time. There was no place for it. Now it falls into my lap. That's the universe's way of saying, you need this, and you need this now before really bad things start happening.
And that's something that we want to say to anybody out there. There are a lot of psychonauts in the practice, especially people involved with us at the moment in this collaborative project that are going to be doing this all the time. And they're hardcore explorers. They're diving deep, and that's their mission. That's what they got in life presented to them. But for most people, if you're thinking about making use of psychedelics, they will come to you when it's the right time. If they don't, probably not.
Yeah, not everybody needs to experience this at this level at this particular moment in their own personal history. And that's everything I said was incredibly subjective. But here's the most important thing I can say. If there's anything I can say to anybody bothering to listen to this, turn off that piece of shit television. It's killing your imagination. Learn to daydream again. Okay? If you got kids, be with them. They're going to teach you all the important things that you've forgotten over the years. And yes, it happens.
We're getting a lot of that too. On the live stream, we get a lot of people talking about their kids and things that they say. Booker's daughter says she can remember being in her mother's womb, like literally being in the womb. She can describe it.
Yeah, that's why I said, please be careful where do you go. That's why I'm trying to explain that you speak and I see it. It's like that. You say who, what, where, when, why, and I'm going there.
That's another thing that spotters working with psychonauts who are, if you're trip sitting as they call it, you can guide people along journeys. That's particularly important facet of the project. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Once I actually have somewhat of a handle on this myself, it's right now. It's like trying to catch water, nail it to a wall, and paint it green. Good luck. Let me know how that works out for you. Take pictures, lots of pictures, because I want to see how it turns out.
Well, so I mean, you've taken it in the past, though. What would you expect to experience? Like, because what we're looking for with the project is trying to, about dimethyltryptamine and people having.
Yeah, that's the last great barrier for me. That's the only thing I haven't done yet. So
yeah. So, but a lot of people do report similar things with psilocybin and with LSD. They report similar things. So, I mean, have you encountered what you'd say are beings from elsewhere, from another world, or people who have crossed over that have died for the most part, as we like to call it?
Well, I hear from people on the other side all the time, whether I'm on this drug or not. Okay, as far as any other beings, I'm still trying to figure out if I'm just being an asshole and they don't want to come and talk to me, or if there's some reason why they're afraid of me, or what. Because I've extended the offer, the invitation, on several times, and so far I can sense their presence. I know they're watching, but that's as far as they'll get. So
I get that too. I've been with certain people, students of mine, who seem to attract these things, and I have encountered it while I've been dealing with them. Some of the people we work with, I've encountered some of these things while dealing with them, but on my own, they tend to shy away from me. I have encountered them a couple of times on my own, but it was through great strain. The one time was with that mental trip to me, the other times was the extremity deprivation experiments. It took a lot to get there, but yeah, I haven't experienced things regularly that you could say are like what people call ghosts or anything of that nature. But with you say that you speak to people from the other side, as it were, frequently. What do they give you any bigger messages about life, not just like personal messages, but something that can be applicable to everyone listening?
Well, that's just it. Just like you say, we're all connected. So if it's applicable to me, it's applicable to everybody on some level.
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as my own personal experiences, well, I can only give you the best to my ability with the tools that I've been given. And human language is a real pain in the ass. It's clunky, it's cumbersome, it takes a linear path. Linear time has always been a problem. I don't like the concept, makes me nauseous, but I gotta do it. So it is what it is. As far as experiencing anything other than me, no. I can say that the only thing I've ever experienced is myself. And I'm not opposed to the idea of experiencing other things, but if it's not happening, I'm probably just not really as ready for it as I might think.
Maybe. Or, I mean, maybe it doesn't exist, right? I mean, that's what we're investigating.
Well, that's the only other option. And yeah, I'm right there with you. I say we need to stop. We need to start erasing question marks, and we need to start putting periods in their places. People need to know where the dead ends lie, so they can cut those out and get to the heart of the matter. Which ironically is just the word Earth with the H at the front.
Yeah, and they say a statement closes the mind, a question opens it, and that's obviously people are going to look at that and they're going to be like, well, questioning opens the mind, and we want the mind to be open, but no, sometimes you want to hit the wall. I mean, we need to come up with answers. We're well beyond our infancy here as a species. It's time to grow the fuck up.
Once again, linear time is a concept. It's look at it like when you're a child and you're taken to the swimming pool for the first time. Well, I can use my experience anyway. You're taken to the pool, the community pool, for the first time, and for us it was indoors because it was up in Illinois at the time. And they have those yellow guide wires that go from one end of the pool to the other. Well, that's essentially all anything or anyone can be, is a guide that leads you in the right direction. And that's it. You have to experience these things firsthand. That's really the only message that I'm trying to get across to people, is be present at the moment, live it, experience it, allow yourself, in other words, let go of all the things that you think you need to worry about and be concerned about. And you have to, deep frowns, deep furrows in your forehead. Think Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks explained all of this a long time ago. So I'm just kind of like borrowing from. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, as I've heard said before. Okay, and so when he talks about the universe being the universe of experiencing itself subjectively, and I could go into that whole thing. But see, that's the other side of this is there's no cheating. There are no shortcuts. You can't ride someone else's coattails. In other words, if you think that you're going to get somewhere in your life by following a guru or a mystic or what you can perceive to be a holy man, yeah, you better get ready for a whole lot of disappointment, because that person doesn't know any better than the next person what the hell they're doing.
Right. And it's.
I could use a million different examples, but it would all equate to the same thing. People are thrown. All of this stuff that I'm saying is it's out there in popular culture. It's out there in you have to, once you hear that tone. That being a musician, that's the easiest way for me to relate it. It's like being able to hear that one note that's just a little bit different than all the other notes that you've heard. You don't know what it is, but you know it's got your attention because that's exactly what it's supposed to do. It's there for you. But, oh my God, me, little old me, the universe actually cares about little old me? And that's harder to accept than any God or Jesus or Mithra or Horus. Same idea, different characters, archetypes. We can go through all that, but I'm pretty sure most understand, and those that don't, go learn. I'm not giving you all the answers. There's no cheating.
Yeah, and where God's no cheating, it's absolutely true. I find to be the case wherein, throughout my training, obviously anybody who knows me is going to know that I've taken several shortcuts along the route. Where Jeremy's speaking of following some kind of a guru or something, with spotters, essentially our purpose, if we're training a person, is to get them to the point where they're carrying off on their own. I mean, we give them what we can, but that's, we give them what we have to give, but we don't have all the answers. We don't presume to have the answers. We have questions. We give questions to ask them. We send you off to answer them on your own. Come up with your own answers.
We give you a list of questions, a torch, a map, a compass, the basics that you need,
right,
the ability to do certain things. And then I kick your ass out of the house, and I make you go and do it on your own. Right now, I'm speaking for the role of consciousness itself. For some reason, it likes to give me this responsibility. And I'm still trying to figure that one out because I think there are a lot of other people much more qualified to be doing this. But whatever, I'm filling a gap until whoever needs to get off his dead ass and stop being afraid will come and take the reins so I can go back to doing what the fuck it is that I was doing before all of this crazy shit started.
Well, one, as I was saying, I've taken shortcuts along the route, but it always leads to some kind of, it always leads to more troublesome experiences. Like any shortcut you try and take, you're going to have compensation is going to be due, and you're going to come against trials that come with that. There's always baggage to be had in that regard. But
if you think you're going to one-up the universe, I've got bad news for you.
Speaking about,
it already knows.
It's a step ahead of you for sure. When it comes to being qualified, to spread a message, qualified to spread the word on this, the only thing that qualifies a person, we've always had the instance where, what qualifies a person is the merit of their reputation in a sense, how much they have.
I don't have one of those.
How far their message can be spread because they've got like a TV station or a radio station or something. But we have fucking internet now, so everybody.
Yeah, I know.
I have them on YouTube, and you can tell people what needs to be said. And it's difficult to gain. It's difficult to gain the audience. You need to get the word out, but everything's fucking difficult. So work with it.
No. There is such a thing that I learned from a gentleman by the name of Deepak Chopra, who says there is such a thing as called the law of least effort. It doesn't mean that you don't put any effort into seeing what you want to happen. It's instead of using a shotgun, you use a fan. Because that's what it is. It's not that this is too complicated or difficult. It's too simple. It was made that way on purpose. So the people who think they're really smart are going to show themselves to be really ignorant. And those who think that they're really ignorant are going to be proven of their own that they know exactly what they're talking about. Now, for myself, like I said, there's certain things that I had to accept just being willing to do this. I am essentially painting a really big bullseye right on my ass by exposing myself. But someone's got to do it. Might as well be me. I've already been through enough. Why not? Let's just finish this and get it over with, shall we? Sorry, I'm being cryptic, but those who are listening, they know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut off here in a minute, anyways. But this is a pretty neat introduction for you, and we're gonna get what we're gonna do here with Jeremy is we're gonna get a report from everything that he experiences, and we'll do a follow up for that. And we will continue to do videos with him. We'll consider this one to be an introduction for him as a character in the story, and you know.
Hopefully I didn't do too horrible of a job. People actually understood one or two statements.
No, you actually brought up a lot of good things to talk about, and Megan and I will try to follow up a little bit with that later on when we do our video tonight. But there's a lot of shit that you said that I would like to expound upon. But when you said that it's too simple, that's an idea I want to get across, that nail home that you put out there right now. Is that I think that a lot of this shit is just, it's too simple for people to grasp. Like, they want it to be more than it is.
Of course.
And the answers are right in front of you, man. Nobody's hiding this shit. It's like,
except for you. No, that's not true entirely. See, you are hiding from you.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's you. You're the one who decides when and when not to accept certain things. It's all based on your choice. Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You already here.
Exactly.
Now you're here to understand why you made the choice.
Right. I love that. That's one I forgot that one, actually. I forgot that one for a few years now. I forgot about that.
I could quote all scripts, all parts of all characters, major and minor, throughout all of those films, including the Animatrix. Because you don't know the whole story until you've seen the Animatrix.
Yeah,
that's only for the hardcore, those that want to know the truth in its entirety.
It kind of freaks me out. It's the part where they have the android fighting in court for the rights, and then the android still deserts, and they split that dude's head open, and you see his brain fly out. For some reason, that creeps me out so much that I never watched it again.
Well, it was meant to, because it's meant to be disturbing. It's meant to shake you up. See, people have become so desensitized since September 11th. They have become so desensitized to everything because nobody's willing to say what needs to be said. Well, I'm one of those people that's going to say whatever the fuck needs to be said. And if other people don't like that, well, I've made this offer for more than once. You come here and
You're cut off right there. He's about to yell at people. It's funny. I don't know. His audience keeps going out. Okay, well, oh, there he is. Are you back?
First you're going to get. If you start fucking. A whole hell of a lot of that just broke up. I didn't hear a third of that.
That worked out perfectly, though.
For those who need what I have to say,